What happens when people get caught doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing is oftentimes they lash out over the people who caught them doing the stuff or reported them doing the stuff, not the actual stuff they were doing. I believe that's what's happened most with the Aaron Rodgers deal, right? We've made it about vaccinations. We've made it about Fauci. We've made it about the NFL. We've made it about the NFLPA. And we haven't, or at least others haven't made it enough about Aaron and Aaron's inability to be, frankly, honest about it, right? He was asked last year, remember, before it all came out, you know, if he had been vaccinated, and he gave a different response. He did not say yes or no. He said, yeah, you know, I've been, what did he say, inoculated? Is that what he said? This was Aaron Rodgers last year before it came out that he wasn't vaccinated.
Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on vaccinations?
Yeah, I've been immunized. A lot of conversation around it, around the league, and a lot of guys who have made statements and have made statements. You know, there's guys on the team that haven't been vaccinated. I think it's a personal decision. I'm not going to judge those guys. There's guys that have been vaccinated that have contracted COVID. It's an interesting issue that I think we're going to see played out the entire season.
Okay, so if you're honest and you're even the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan, and I'm a very big Aaron Rodgers fan, there is absolutely positively no way you can listen to that and go, oh, he didn't get a shot. He got a shot, right? Is there any, Jay Stu, I don't think we were together at the time, but do you see any wiggle room in that we come to the, because the criticism was, hey, the media didn't follow up when he said, when he didn't say he was vaccinated, what was the term he used? Listen to it one more time.
Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on vaccinations?
Yeah, I've been immunized. A lot of conversation around it, around the league, and a lot of guys who have made statements and have made statements. You know, there's guys on the team that haven't been vaccinated. I think it's a personal decision. I'm not going to judge those guys. There's guys that have been vaccinated that have contracted COVID. It's an interesting issue that I think we're going to see played out the entire season.
Aaron Rodgers is bright. He thought he outsmarted the room, and probably did actually outsmart the room until, of course, we found out that he hadn't been vaccinated. He had been immunized, if you will. And, you know, but he said there's a lot of guys that haven't been vaccinated. He didn't say a lot of us haven't been vaccinated. He said a lot of them haven't been vaccinated. So here's Aaron Rodgers on Joe Rogan's podcast talking about the I'm immunized comment.
I'd been ready the entire time for this question and had thought about how I wanted to answer it. And I had come to the conclusion I'm going to say I've been immunized. And if there's a follow-up, then talk about my process. But thought there's a possibility that I say I'm immunized. Maybe they understand what that means. Maybe they don't. Maybe they follow up. They didn't follow up. So then I go the season, them thinking, some of them, that I was vaccinated. Right? Because the only follow-up they asked was basically asking me to rip on my teammates. Like, what do you say to your teammates who aren't vaccinated? Like, what kind of example do you feel like you're setting, you know, to your teammates who aren't vaccinated? And I said, hey, it's everybody's own decision with their body, and I don't have any judgment on any decision that a guy makes with their own body, right? But I knew at some point if I contracted COVID or if word got out, because it's the NFL and there's leaks everywhere, it was possible I'd have to answer the questions. And then sure enough, I contract COVID in at the beginning of November, end of October, and that's when the storm hit, because now I'm a liar. I'm endangering, the community, my teammates, all these people, and the attempted takedown of me and my word and my integrity began.
Yeah, I don't remember anybody talking about him being dangerous or being dangerous to the community. I don't remember that part. I do remember the part where he said, look, Aaron can dance all around it and make us seem like we're the bad guys, or make the people in that room seem like they're dopes because they didn't ask a follow-up. But he said there are other guys who some of them haven't been vaccinated, and that's a personal decision. All he had to say was, I haven't been vaccinated, they haven't been vaccinated, I've been immunized, it's a little different. Like Aaron is really smart. But this is the problem sometimes with intelligence. Like, have you ever had somebody tell you that you're way too smart for this job? That it's true. People don't want people who are super intelligent, because a lot of times people who are super intelligent try to be the smartest guy in the room. That's what he did. I thought they'd ask me a follow-up, but I didn't know they wouldn't. And now they make me out to be the worst guy ever because they didn't ask a follow-up and they wanted me to sell out my teammates. No, they don't. Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on it? That was the question, wasn't it? Take a listen. John, just play me the question real quick.
Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on vaccinations?
That's it.
Yeah, I've been immunized.
That's it. That's the question. Are you vaccinated? What's your stance on it? Well, I was fully prepared for it, but only on the follow-up. Well, what are you talking about? You're so full of crap, it's stupid. Are we all this dumb? No, Aaron, we're not. We're not. You just didn't want to bother with it. You're like, look, I've been immunized. I thought of a cool world that maybe somebody might pick up on, maybe they wouldn't, and then I could go to a dissertation on how I'm smarter than everybody else because I got immunized and they got vaccinated, and nah, right? Like, come on, dude. It wasn't an unfair question. Are you vaccinated? I don't like, you don't ask double headers or whatever, but I don't know if you're coming back to whoever asked you a question. Are you vaccinated? No, I'm immunized.
Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on
Are you vaccinated?
vaccinations?
Okay, let's
Yeah, I've
answer.
been immunized.
Yeah, I've been immunized.
Isn't
His
that
answer is yes.
Isn't that the danger word, Doug? That he started the answer with yeah. Like, if he just says I'm immunized and stops, then there would be the natural follows, because he doesn't say vaccinated.
Yeah, but he was asked, and again, I don't like the doubleheader, right? But he was asked about it, and then he answered the question, like, what is your stance on it? And he didn't take any stance. So this whole, let's go 6 months later and be like, I had a stance, I was all prepared, they didn't ask the right questions. Dude, they asked you the right question. Are you vaccinated? Nope. I'm immunized. Okay? What's your stance on it? My stance on it is my own personal preference. I'm not going to do what somebody tells me I have to do. And if that means that I got to stay away from people or whatever, I went through immunization. It's a little bit different. Here's how it's different. Like, and I like Aaron to just take the freaking L. Take the L. Just pointing fingers, and they're wrong because they didn't ask a follow-up. But everybody else freaked out, and this guy's wrong, and that guy's like, no, he's not. No, he's not. I don't know how you guys, like in life, some people lie, some people don't lie. Okay? But I think what happens more than lying is you just gloss over certain things, right? You just gloss over it. And what happens when you get caught glossing over something is some sort of visceral reaction to getting called out for glossing over it. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the worst human being on earth. I don't wish him ill will in any way. We were friendly once. I would love to be friendly again. But on this particular case, he's wrong. And going on Joe Rogan, like friendly court, be like, man, see, they're all dopes. We all know better. And they didn't ask the right questions. Like, all you got to say is like, when he asked me if I was vaccinated, I should have said no. Got him the old immunization thing. I didn't. And, I regret it. You don't even have to regret whether or not you got vaccinated or not. Like, man, I don't really regret not getting vaccinated. It turns out I was fine, or I went through being sick and I got through it now, and, whatever. You can, whatever you want to say, you can give us the real if you want. But it's a pretty blatant and obvious lie, as well as the only other question they asked was to sell out teammates. Like, dude, you went into your teammates. Listen again to the whole question, the whole answer. He took it to teammates. No one else did.
Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on vaccinations?
Yeah, I've been immunized. A lot of conversation around it, around the league, and a lot of guys who have made statements and not made statements. There's guys on the team that haven't been vaccinated. I think it's a personal decision. I'm not going to judge those guys. There's guys that have been vaccinated that have contracted COVID. It's an interesting issue that I think we're going to see played out the entire season.
Yeah, the only person who he opened the door to talk about teammates. He was asked if he'd been vaccinated, he lied about it. He was asked his personal stance. He didn't give one other than it's a personal choice. And then he was the one who brought up his teammates. No one else brought up his teammates. I don't really know. Like, it's not as if there isn't sound of this interview. Here's the problem with social media. I'm just going to call people out because they're idiots. Okay. Michael Matthews. Okay. Michael, you got 18 followers. You'll probably get some more after this. Let me refresh your memory. There was a writer who refused to vote for him because he didn't get vaccinated for the MVP and said he posed a danger to teammates. Okay. Was he still the MVP? Was he still the MVP? And I believe he didn't say it was because he posed a danger to teammates. I disagreed with him not voting him for the MVP, but part of that is the checks and balances where people can have their opinion. James, this is at Benson JL84. Stop trying to make Aaron Rodgers a bad guy. The jab doesn't work. It's his choice, just like yours to be a sheep and follow terrible advice from a computer guy and a terrible doctor. He's allergic to an ingredient in the jab. Okay. Here's the problem with everything in your tweet. Right. Yeah, the vaccine does actually work. It doesn't completely, it hasn't completely wiped it out, but every part of the statistical data, okay, of people who took any sort of level of vaccination, including getting all three shots, are far, far less likely to be hospitalized, let alone die from it. So you're wrong. Secondly, this was never about whether or not he was vaccinated, wasn't vaccinated. There was no vaccine mandate. But if you're not vaccinated, you had to go through different steps and different protocols. And if he was so proud that he didn't need to be vaccinated, instead he was immunized, let's not act like, well, he's like, yeah, I'm a big spokesman for it. Like, no, you weren't. You didn't say anything when you were given the opportunity. And James, forgive me, okay, but I'm a sports radio host. I'm going to take my advice from Dr. Fauci, who has served with Republican and Democratic presidents. The vaccine that was developed when President Trump was in office, I'm just guessing, like you're a Republican guy who's sitting here, anti-vaccine dude or whatever. I'm going to take the doctor's advice, not yours. So, look, man, I don't know. I can't help you people. No one's actually even talking about the vaccine, the effectiveness, if he was allergic to something. He was asked a question. He lied about the response, lied in the response. And then he was asked, as part of the question, a very open-ended, neutral, I'll grant you it's a doubleheader. You're not supposed to ask two questions in one. But there's two questions in one. You know, have you been vaccinated? What are your feelings about the vaccine? He was given an open forum and his home field to say whatever he wanted, and he chose to try and be cute, try and pretend like he was vaccinated, because he said there are guys that are not vaccinated. He didn't say, I'm one of the guys not vaccinated. I chose to be immunized. He was given all these possible things, and he chose to not be honest about it. And he was the one who brought up his teammates and whether or not and how they should be viewed. We have the sound. We just played for you the sound. I think that's my biggest problem with some of this stuff. Right? My biggest problem with some of the stuff. Like, we have proof of these things. You know? We have actual proof. No, fake. Now we have proof. Proof. No, fake. No, we actually have proof. No. Like what then we can't have a conversation. You know what you should do? Okay? You know what you should do? You should just listen to somebody who tells you everything you want to hear. That's great sports radio. Pick your team, pick your topic, find somebody who doesn't want to tell you the truth. And look, I'm not coming up with the truth. I'm not coming up with a definable truth. Once you start trying to have conversations with me, and I had a friend who I lost a friendship over it. Guy I like. I don't love him. Like, we're not that close, but our boys were friends. And, he's one of these guys that, like, all the conspiracy theories, just like, well, I can't have a conversation with you if things that have been proven to be false, you say they're true just because you think they got to be true. So if you want to start a conversation and you believe something which has been proven to be false, to be true, and you want to argue about it, I can't argue with you. I don't want to. It's dumb. So yes, Michael, you're dumb. It's a dumb argument. Stop. Because if you don't have friends that are telling you this, don't consider me a friend. I'm just one who's telling you. You're making a dumb argument. You may be a really smart person, but this is a really, really dumb argument. We just played for you the sound. We just played for you the sound of him being asked a question 6-7 months ago. Were you vaccinated? Yes, I was. Like, he lied right there. Okay. So you want to make it about something else. He wants it to make about the media. Nobody asks a follow-up question. He's like, were you vaccinated? And what's your feelings about it? And, he said, well, there's a lot of guys that aren't vaccinated. He didn't say, I'm not vaccinated. He said, there are guys that are. Like, he lied a bunch of times. Okay. I've lied. It's not the worst thing in the world. I'm not making him out to be the worst guy in the world. But then pointing out, like, well, the media didn't ask a follow-up. And all these guys came after me like, dude, at what point do you just go like, it wasn't worth it on that day. And I chose to not be honest with my answer. I tried to be cute and it didn't work out for me. All right, we'll move on.